Hey guys, look what I got. That's right guys, this is the Syma X9 Flying Car. It's part RC car, part quadcopter, and it'll even do flips. I'm going to quit talking and we're going to open this up and see what's going on inside the box. Here's a look at what we have going on inside the box. As you can see, we've got a radio there and the quadcopter slash car, and we've got the different miscellaneous pieces such as the charger and the spare props. I also want to let you know that I got this from gearbest.com, and I'm going to include a link in the description so you can check it out for yourself if this is something that you want. And now we're going to check something else that I'm going to show you that you might find valuable. So one thing here to keep in mind, when you go to open this, take it out, you're going to feel some resistance, and there is some resistance, so don't pull too hard. In fact, don't pull at all. Remove this tape, clip off that clip. There's plastic holding it around the foam, so you're probably going to damage your car if you pull too hard, and you want to avoid doing that, of course. Alright guys, this is what comes inside the box, and I'm going to talk about each item individually. First up is the accessories pack. As you can see, there's a screwdriver, a charger, and 4 spare props. Alright guys, I found this battery on the underside of this car, and this is what it takes. It's a little bit different shape than I expected for a 600 milliamp hour 1S 3.7 volt battery, but it's pretty cool, and it looks like I will be able to use my WLtoys Cessna battery as well. This is 500 milliamp hour, so I'll be able to hopefully get some nice flight footage for you here pretty soon. And up next, I'm going to talk to you about the radio. Okay guys, here is a look at the radio. As you can see, this is a 4-channel. It's got trim buttons, all 4 channels. Indicator light, of course, and the 2 things that are probably most important to you, this is a high and low rate switch. If it's in high rates, it's going to be more responsive on the controls. And this is the flip button, or eversion button they call it. So you push that button and push it either direction. And yes, that flying car will do flips. It's heavy, so it loses a lot of altitude when it does it. I've watched some other videos with folks doing that, and you need to make sure you're outdoors when you do that. And I'm going to get into the mechanics of how this drives in car mode and in heli flight mode here pretty soon. This is just a basic overview, and this thing takes 4 AA batteries. Next, we're going to take a closer look at that. Alright, here is a look at the flying car. It has separate motors to drive the wheels, as well as separate motors to drive the props. And of course you've got some nice bright LEDs. I plugged in my Cessna battery real quick to get an idea of what the lights do, and it looks like another well-lit Syma aircraft slash car in this instance. Here's a look at the battery bay. We've got an on-off switch here, of course. And this is something that's really important because it threw me for a second, and fortunately I figured it out, but it almost had me freaked out there for a bit. So we've got the battery plug. It comes in here sitting like so. And I was thinking, okay, what does this plug into? I have no idea, because normally there's a cord like this that is a female to slide this male plug into. And I finally found this, and you slide that in there and shut this thing down. If I can do that, that would be fantastic. Boom. And then you're ready to rock and roll. Throw in the on-off switch, bind it to your radio, and you're set to go. Up next, I am going to compare this to some popular quadcopters I've got back there and off to the side. But before we do that, I wanted to share something with you. I just noticed that we have front suspension, which will come in handy when we land and try and do some of the other things that we are going to do with this thing. So up next, we're going to do a size comparison. Alright, we're going to get started with some Syma products. We're going to start with the biggest over here. This is the Syma X8C Venture. Over here we've got the Syma X5SC-1 Falcon. And down here, this little guy, is the Syma X12. This is the WLtoys Cessna 182, just for fun. Dromida Verso. Blade Nano QX 3D. Blade Inductrix. Estes Proto-Z. Estes Proto-X. Cheerson CX-10. Alright guys, as you can see, this is all bound up by the lights that we have going on here. And I learned a couple things. One, the motors are back here. It's rear wheel drive only. And the other thing that I'm going to show you is that with the radio here, this is a look at it all lit up, to make it do stuff in car mode. That's left to right steering. I'm not sure you can see that. So, and that's all right stick. Everything to do with the car is right stick. Now, if we want to drive it, that's forward, and that's backwards. Now this is not the best terrain for me to drive on with this, but I'm going to do a quick little demo here anyway to give you an idea of what it does or what it can do. And this is a super soft bed surface, so take that in mind. Yeah, this thing is pretty dang cool. Here's a nice look at it in the dark. Very nice bright LEDs on this thing. This is the Maiden Flight in low rates. As you can see, it's a lot like most Syma or Syma products. It's very stable. It feels different than a normal quad, I think because of the extra weight, but it's still nice and stable. Yep, very nice and stable. Keep in mind this is a really small room, and this thing I think is going to require a little bit more space considering it's not a quadcopter first. But all things considered, this thing flies pretty well, and it also gives off a lot of wind, kind of like the big black one I had in here, the Venture. The only complaint that I would probably have for indoor flight is the yaw just isn't a lot. So I don't feel terribly comfortable flying it indoors and doing funnels and things like that. Alright, I'm going to set this thing down. Sets down very nicely. So far, I enjoy this. Don't have quite as much control as I had hoped. It was low rates, so let's check and see if I have more control in high rates. Still had control, but just wasn't quite as in tune as, say, my Nano QX 3D or something like that that fits super tight and is a quadcopter first. Oh yeah, this is much, much better in high rates. Yeah. Look how smooth that is. Got some speed too. I really cannot wait to take this outside. That will be exciting. The weather is horrible right now, so I'm not able to do that. But I am going to show you this on the floor in my hallway in car mode pretty quick. In fact, I think I'm going to do that now. Because, see that? That's so cool. Okay, so this is a look at it driving on some carpet. This is medium length carpet, I guess you could describe it as, and it's pretty worn, as you can see. So this is what it looks like driving on this type of carpet. It's got some decent speed actually. Sweet. This thing is so much fun, guys. Before we wrap this up, I'm going to give you a quick list of pros and cons. We're going to start with the pros. The pros, the biggest one, is it's just a ton of fun to fly and drive and just mess around with all together. It looks cool and it's just unique. It's a lot of fun. And great for kids. I'm a big kid. Doesn't matter what age you are, if you consider yourself a kid, this is awesome for you. It flies well for its weight, nice and stable. It's got 2 flight modes, high and low rates. It's durable. There's some stuff that went on off camera that definitely proved its durability to me. And there's no integrated battery. So what that means is you can continue to fly this as long as you have spare batteries that are charged that you can swap out. So you can have a lot of fun with it continuously if you have spare batteries handy. Now, to a couple cons. It needs more space to do funnels because of its weight. The yaw isn't quite as responsive as it is, let's say, with a quadcopter that's dedicated to only being a quadcopter. It's not a major thing. It just requires more space, so flying this outside or in a big room inside would be much better than trying to fly in this little room that I have here. The other downside is that the battery, even though it's 600 milliamp hour, you only get about 5 minutes of flight time. And this is too much fun to only be limited to 5 minutes of flight time before we got to swap out the battery. Alright guys, that's it. Like, comment, and subscribe. And GBLynden out.